my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. Today, we begin the case against Sherri Papini, the disappearing act, basically, where she alleged to have been kidnapped, and come to find out, it was all a hoax. She played a lot of people, including the person who helped her or looked like she was getting kidnapped anyway. I'm Manny Rodriguez. Thank you for joining me today. My friends, if this sounds like something you want to be a part of and keep up with, because we're going to break this case down. There's a lot to this in the whole case that occurred that's now has her being charged. She is currently out on bail, but she has been charged for this hoax. And so if you want to keep updated every time I upload some content around this, make sure you click on that subscribe button. That way you know every time I upload content. Thank you for joining me. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So I'm sharing the criminal complaint with you that was done by FBI Special Agent Courtney Lanto. So I'm going to be sharing with you exactly what they have on this girl. Courtney Lanto, she is sworn in, first duly sworn, hereby depose and state as follows. She shares the introduction and agent background. This affidavit is made in support of a criminal complaint and arrest warrant for Sherri Papini for making false statements to a federal law enforcement officer in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code Section 1001A2 and engaging in mail fraud in violation of Title 18 U.S. Code 1341. So she's in violation of these two codes, and this is where the charges are coming from. I am a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, and have been so employed since August 2010. Currently, I am assigned to the Sacramento Division, and I work out of the Redding Resident Agency. My training has included attending the FBI Academy's Basic Agent Training, wherein I received instructions on various aspects of federal investigation. As part of my official duties, I investigate cases involving kidnapping, false statements, and fraud. The facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon my personal observations, my training and experience, and information obtained from various law enforcement personnel and witnesses. This affidavit is intended to show merely that there is sufficient probable cause for the requested complaint and arrest warrant, and does not purport to set forth all of my knowledge of or investigation into this matter. Unless specifically indicated otherwise, all conversations and statements described in this affidavit are related in substance and part only. Section 2, Summary of Probable Cause. In November 2016, Papini went missing for several weeks, and law enforcement conducted a nationwide search for her. When she returned, she told federal law enforcement officers and others that she had been abducted by two Hispanic women. Papini also provided details of the alleged Hispanic women to an FBI sketch artist and sent text messages to FBI agents about instruments the Hispanic women used to inflict injuries on Papini. However, this was a false narrative Papini fabricated. In truth, Papini was staying with a former boyfriend, James Reyes, and harmed herself to support her false statements. Ex-boyfriend James told investigators that Papini stayed with him at his house during the dates of her disappearance, and that it was Papini who reached out to him and asked him to come pick her up in Redding. DNA evidence recovered from Papini's clothing she was wearing when she returned matched James Reyes' DNA. Phone records show that Papini and James were talking to one another as early as December 2015. Now, James told investigators that he and Papini used prepaid phones to talk to one another. This was corroborated through evidence of 2 prepaid cellular phones that were tied to James and would communicate with each other, one from Papini's location and the other from James' location. Historical cell site analysis and toll records of the prepaid phones indicated that James traveled to Redding on or about the date of Papini's disappearance. Papini and ex-boyfriend James exchanged text messages the morning Papini disappeared. They met together around the location where Papini was last seen, and Papini and James traveled to Southern California together. Now, James, his cousin, told investigators that the cousin saw Papini in James' apartment on 2 different occasions, both times unrestrained. So she was not there against her will. James also told investigators that approximately 3 weeks later, he had a friend rent a car from him, and then James drove Papini back to Northern California, which was corroborated by car rental records and the odometer reading on the rental car. When Papini was interviewed by a federal agent in August 2020, she was warned that it was a crime to lie to federal agents and confronted with evidence that she was not abducted, but instead arranged to have James pick her up and take her to his home. Papini did not retract her kidnapping story and instead continued to make false statements about her purported abductors and denied her ex-boyfriend's involvement. In addition, Papini caused the California Victims' Compensation Board to pay over $30,000 in fraudulent victim assistance money based on her false kidnapping story, including reimbursements for therapy sessions, blinds, and ambulance services. At least one of these reimbursements was via the U.S. mail. Section 3. Statement of probable cause. At approximately 5:50 p.m. on November 2nd, 2016, Papini's then husband Keith reported his wife Papini missing from their home.
911, what is your emergency? CHP transfer. Keith is on the line. Hello, can I help you?
Hello? Yeah, so I just got home from work, and my wife wasn't there, which is unusual, and my kids should have been there by now from, like, daycare. So I was like, oh, maybe she went on a walk. I couldn't find her, so I called the daycare to see what time she picked up the kids. The kids were never picked up, so I got freaked out, so I hit, like, the Find My iPhone app thing, and it said that it showed her phone, like, at our end of our driveway. We don't have really good service.
Okay.
Not the end of our driveway, but the end of our street. So I just drove down there, and I saw her phone with her headphones because she started running again. And I found her phone, and it's got, like, hair ripped out of it, like, in the headphones. So I'm, like, totally freaking out, thinking, like, somebody, grabbed her.
Okay, what's your address?
Redding.
Okay, what's your last name?
Yes. Papini, P-A-P-I-N-I.
And your first name?
Keith.
K-E-I-T-H?
Yes.
Okay. Did you go pick up your children?
No, I'm going to call my mom and have her do it.
Okay. What's your wife's name?
I'm going to, like, knock on every door. Sherri, S-H-E-R-R-I.
And same last name?
Yes.
She white, female?
Yes.
What's her date of birth?
It is June 11th, 1982.
Is her vehicle there? Does she not have a vehicle?
She has a vehicle that's at the house.
Okay, the vehicle is at the house?
She's running.
How? Okay.
Yes, I'm in it right now driving, and I took a picture of her phone on the ground before I picked it up.
Okay, how tall is she?
5'3", 5'4".
How much does she weigh?
100 pounds.
Eye color?
Like a bluish blue.
Okay, hair color?
Blonde.
Do you know what she was wearing? Is there
No
something
idea,
she always wears?
I'm assuming she went running, so
Okay,
probably
is there...
running athletic type clothes.
Okay, there's not an outfit she always wears or anything like that. Does she run with a dog or by herself?
By herself.
Okay. What time were the kids
They just started running again, and we live in a... No,
When's the last
sorry,
time?
Superman right now.
When's the last time you heard from her?
She sent me a text asking me if I was coming home for lunch.
What time was
got
that?
A whole bunch of mixed, well, give me 1 second. She sent me a text at 10:47 asking me if I was coming home from lunch from work. And I said, sorry, long day. And that was the last. Never spoke to her on the phone, never any other contact.
Okay, and what time are the kids supposed to be picked up?
Way before 5:30. She usually goes at like 4:45.
Okay.
4:30, 4:45.
Okay, are you headed back to the house, or where are you at right now?
I'm at the end of the driveway where I'm at the Old Oregon Trail and Sunrise where they meet, because that's right where I found her phone on the ground. You're telling me that something happened to her is the way I'm looking at it. Then there was hair like in the headphones, like it got ripped off, or like the gravel.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Okay, I'm sorry. I know you're trying to keep me calm, obviously.
Yeah. What kind of vehicle are you in?
I'm in a black Kia Optima. Oh my God.
Okay.
And we live down kind of a sketchy street, so I don't know if I'm allowed to knock on everybody's door, but I will if I'm allowed to do that.
Well, let's just have the officers contact you so they can start, processing everything, figure out what's going on, okay? And I understand you're freaking out a little bit. We want to make sure we get your kids, make sure they're okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna call my mom and have her.
Yeah, they've been stuck at your phone number.
Yes. Do you want me to wait right here for somebody, or?
If you want to head back to your residence so they can contact you there, and in case she does return.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have them contact you at your residence. Call us back if anything changes, all right?
All right, so they're going to call the number you just took down, the 355?
They'll probably call you when they're on their way, and they're going to come out in person.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Papini was the 34-year-old mother of their 2 young children who lived in the Mountain Gate area of Shasta County near Redding, California, in the Eastern District of California. Now, Keith told Shasta County Sheriff's Office deputies that when he arrived from work, he was unable to locate Papini or their 2 children. Keith learned that the children had not been picked up from daycare as was customary. Keith checked his Find My iPhone app and was able to locate Papini's phone near Sunrise Drive in Redding, California. He went to the location and retrieved the phone. Papini was last seen running on Sunrise Drive and was believed to have gone missing between the hours of 10 a.m. and 12 p.m. Now, the Shasta County Sheriff's Office requested assistance from the FBI in the investigation into Papini's disappearance. Extensive searches were conducted for Papini all over Shasta County, as well as in several states, as the investigation gained worldwide attention. Hundreds of tips were submitted to the SCSO, Shasta County Sheriff Office, and to the FBI. Numerous items of potential evidence were collected from various searches, with none of them leading to Papini's whereabouts. Immediately upon Papini's disappearance, law enforcement scoured the area where Papini appeared to have gone missing. Now, Keith showed SCSO detectives where he found Papini's cell phone and earbuds with blonde hairs entangled in them at the south corner of Sunrise Drive and Old Oregon Trail, about 2 feet off the road. Now, Keith thought the cell phone had been placed, which he described as weird. SCSO detectives also did a walkthrough of the Papini residence and found nothing out of the ordinary. Papini's purse and jewelry were accounted for, but Keith did not know if any unusual banking activity was occurring in Papini's bank account. Now, in follow-up interviews, Keith stated he and Papini did not have marital issues, but occasionally fought as any married couple would. The last fight they had was in October of 2016 over a messy room. Keith stated Papini could get loud when she was angry and knew how to push Keith's buttons. An analysis of Papini's cell phone found 2 phone numbers stored under women's name that actually belonged to men. So you had man 1 and you had man 2. In a text conversation between man 1 and Papini on November 1st, 2016, the two discussed meeting in Reading. Additionally, travel records showed man 1 traveled to San Francisco on October 28, 2016 and flew back to Michigan on November 2nd, 2016, the day of Papini's disappearance. Investigators traveled out of state to interview man 1 and look for Papini. Papini was not located, and man 1 told investigators that Papini and man 1 met in approximately 2011 when Papini was out of town for work. So she was visiting this guy for a weekend getaway while she was out of town for work in 2011. I believe she was married to Keith since 2009. It sounds like she may have had multiple affairs on him and he's still with her and they may be going strong. I'm not too sure. The two spent the weekend together and continued to exchange flirtatious text messages throughout the years. Although they planned to meet during man 1's trip to California, he returned home without seeing her. Investigators also interviewed man number 2, who described meeting Papini around 2000-2001 at a Friday Night Live youth program and dating her for several years. Man 2 described Papini as an attention-hungry person who told stories to try to get people's attention. Man 2 stated that Papini fabricated stories of being the victim of abuse from her family, father, and then man 2 after the couple broke up. Interesting. On November 16, 2016, investigators telephonically contacted person 1. This person is the director of the Friday Night Live youth program, who knew Papini from the program. Person 1 stated that Papini was the only student person 1 feared having in the program because Papini was good at creating different realities for people so that they would see what she wanted them to see, which got her really good attention. Interesting statement there. Investigators learned that Papini had a previous marriage to man 3. When I am saying man 1, man 2, man 3, these are names that are not in the affidavit, and this is how the affidavit is describing these different men or people. Man number 3, previous marriage man, David Dreyfus. David told investigators that Papini married him, who was in the military, to get medical insurance because of a heart murmur issue. Papini's mother told investigators Papini traveled all over the world with her first husband, David. Investigators located David and interviewed him on November 14th, 2016. David confirmed that he and Papini were married in 2006 prior to his deployment overseas, and stated it was because Papini needed health insurance due to complications related to regular egg donations. David stated that he and Papini never lived together and did not travel together except for once when Papini visited David in Japan. When David returned from deployment, Papini told him she had found someone else and wanted a divorce, to which David agreed. Papini told David that her family abused her while growing up. After the divorce, David heard from mutual friends that Papini had a history of lying. Investigators also interviewed several of Papini's friends. These friends described Papini as being crazy and wild as a youth. The friends recounted that Papini used to run away, and one described an incident in which Papini ran away from home at age 16 to Southern California and stayed with friends. Multiple friends also stated that Papini would make up lies, particularly about being the victim of abuse, especially as a youth. So that was Section 3, Statement of Probable Cause, and that was the nationwide search conducted when Papini went missing. Now we're going to talk about Papini being discovered on Thanksgiving morning 2016. On November 24th, 2016, at approximately 4:30 in the morning, the California Highway Patrol responded to several 911 calls made regarding a woman subsequently identified as Papini standing or running in the middle of Interstate 5, I-5. These included a truck driver who had stopped for Papini and then called 911 to report the incident. A CHP, California Highway Patrol, a CHP officer found Papini with the truck driver along I-5 near Woodland, California in Yolo County, approximately 146 miles south of the location of her disappearance. Papini had a chain around her waist that one arm was bound to, with additional bindings around her other wrist and each ankle. Papini was transported to Woodland Hospital, where she underwent several physical examinations. She appeared to have lost a considerable amount of weight, and her long blonde hair had been cut much shorter. She had been branded on her right shoulder, although the exact content of the brand was indistinguishable. Papini's nose was swollen. She had bruises on her face, rashes on her left arm and left upper inner thigh, as well as other parts of her body. Ligature marks on her wrist and ankles, burns on her left forearm, and bruising on her pelvis and the fronts of both legs. Toxicology results did not show any significant trace of narcotics in Papini's system at the time of her return, and physical exam did not show evidence of sexual assault. While at Woodland Hospital, Papini's clothing was collected for DNA sampling, including her sweatshirt, sweatpants, socks, and underwear. Papini told investigators that this was her original underwear from the day of her disappearance. The clothing was submitted to the California Department of Justice, Bureau of Forensic Services, Redding Laboratory for processing. Mixtures of DNA consistent with Papini and one male contributor who was not her husband, Keith, were recovered from multiple cuttings taken from Papini's underwear and one cutting taken from Papini's sweatpants. Now, a different analysis also identified some sperm or partial sperm in the clothing. However, the male contributor DNA material analyzed may have come from sperm or another source. So that part they are not 100% sure on there. The male contributor DNA to Papini's clothing was uploaded to the Combined DNA Index Systems, CODIS, which is how they find a lot of these criminals anymore, where they were routinely searched against profiles from case evidence as well as individuals in the database. In 2020, a familial match to the male contributor DNA was identified, which eventually led to the ex-boyfriend, James Reyes, as described in greater detail coming up. We're gonna stop right there as we continue the case against Sherri Papini. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, that way you get notified when we upload the second part. And we're going to be diving deeper into this because the next time we're going to talk about is her allegations of abduction by 2 Hispanic women at gunpoint. And we're going to really break that down as to everything she said in this allegation. And it's a serious allegation. Obviously, they're not going to point to anyone, but she is just thoroughly lying to so many. And even when confronted like this is a federal crime, she continued to lie. So that's what we have for you today, my friends. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.